Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public informational meeting for state project number 139116, replacement of the bridge on Russell Avenue over Philo Brook in the town of Suffield. This live event will start tonight, and you can reach out to us by email at dot.flbp@ct.gov, by phone at 860-594-2020, which is a monitored voicemail line. We also encourage you to reach out and check out the project webpage at the link below. And we're recording this presentation will be posted to YouTube after the live event. To use closed captioning through Zoom, you can select the closed caption or CC button at the bottom of the screen, select the speaking language, and then choose which language you would like to use. Closed captioning will also be available on YouTube after the event. During the Q&A after the formal presentation, to ask a question, you can select the Q&A tool at the bottom of the window, which will then add a pop-up box on your screen, and you can type in a question and click enter. If you're an audio-only participant, you can dial *9 to raise and lower your hand. My name is Mark Burns, and I'm the project manager for the local bridge program. And here's my contact info. Email is the best way to reach me. Goals for tonight's meeting will be to interact with the project team, explain the funding through the federal local bridge program's Design Managed by State, or DMS program, welcoming remarks by the town of Suffield. We will also have project team introductions, and then a formal presentation of the design progress, which will explain the existing condition of the bridge and define its purpose and need, and recommend our viable proposal. Please note we're only at 30% design, and this is the time when we reach out to the public to solicit input and comment. Following the presentation, there'll be a formal Q&A to answer any questions that you may have. To reach out to us, as I said, you can use email at dot.flbp@ct.gov, by phone at 860-594-2020, and during the Zoom Q&A. The Zoom Q&A is only active during the presentation tonight. The comment period is open until August 14th. I'll read this slide on Title VI, Civil Rights. No person shall on the basis of race, color, or national origin be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. We highly encourage you to fill out the voluntary post-meeting survey located at the hyperlink and QR code shown, and it's also been added to the chat from the meeting. There's also a link to the Department's Office of Equity Title VI page, and recording this presentation will be posted to CTDOT's YouTube channel after the event, and closed captioning is also available. This is another slide on Title VI. And the same slide in Spanish. As I said, this project is through the Federal Local Bridge Program, and it's utilizing the DMS, or Design Managed by State program. In the past, similar to the Remington Street project in town, the project was funded at an 80% federal and 20% town match for design rights of way and construction, and the towns were responsible for the engineering. In the DMS, design rights of way and construction phases are funded with an 80% federal and a minimum of 20% state funds. It's at zero cost to the town, and in exchange, the department handles the design on behalf of the town. Now, even though we're doing the design on behalf of the town, it's still a full partnership, and we coordinate with the town at all key project milestones, including the public info tonight. The goals of the DMS program were to provide a streamlined approach to design using full DOT resources and consultant resources, to aid the towns in keeping the bridges of state of good repair by effectively using federal funds, decrease typical design time from 48 to 60 months to 24 to 36 months, to utilize accelerated bridge construction, or ABC techniques, to shorten construction duration, and to increase the number of municipal projects delivered to construction each year. I'll now turn it over to Lee Corbett, Director of Public Works for the town of Suffield. Lee?
Thank you, Mark. This is Lee Corbett, Director of Public Works, town of Suffield. Just wanted to let everyone on the meeting know the town has been involved with the project since inception. The Planning and Zoning Director and myself, the Director of Public Works, have been to the meetings and have presented town information and opinions. We fully support the proposed structure at this time. If any residents have any questions, they can feel free to contact me at any time.
Great. Thank you, Lee. Representing the rest of the DOT are Derek Lassard, Division Chief of Bridges, Greg Funk, Principal Engineer. As I stated, my name is Mark Burns. Michelle Rain is the project engineer, and Zach Areno is the project coordinator for the Office of Rights of Way. Representing VHB, who is our consultant liaison engineer, are Mark Levesque, program manager, and Andy Shepard, structural design. This slide shows a brief overview of the key structural elements of a bridge. Supporting the driving or traveling surface is the deck, which will also have parapets, which prevent vehicles and pedestrians from hazards on the side of the road. Supporting the deck and parapet is the bridge superstructure, and in the case of this diagram, is steel beams. Supporting the superstructure and beams are the abutments or the substructure, and depending on the span length, there may be one or multiple piers. And then additionally, for earth retention, we'll see wing walls on the side of each abutment. Bridges are inspected on a biannual basis by the department and are rated on a scale of 1 to 9, with 9 being in excellent condition and 1 being an imminent failure. But before any major structural concerns arise, we would alert the town to take corrective action. This slide just runs through some different types of concrete deterioration. Efflorescence is a chemical reaction where different chemicals inside the concrete react and create the white substance that you'll see on the surface of concrete periodically. Honeycombing is a result of poor formwork or improper setup of concrete when it's poured, and then when forms are removed, you'll see that those void spaces. Scaling is as a result of too much water and freeze thawing that results in concrete surfaces, with lack of a better term, scaling off. Map cracking is also a result of water getting into the concrete, and then when it expands during freezing, cracks and forms the cracks shown. And then a more severe case of honeycombing is spalling, where the concrete is deteriorated out past the point of surface and into the reinforcement steel behind it. I will now turn over to Andy Shepard for the full presentation. Andy?
There we go. Hi, everybody. My name is Andy Shepard. I'm the project engineer for VHB, and this is project 139-116, as Mark said, Russell Avenue over Philo Brook in Suffield. So here we have the project location. You can see we're on a pretty sharp corner off to the west here. Here we have an aerial view. Obviously, it's very residential and rural here. We got some farms. There we go. So the existing structure was built in 1969 and consists of pre-stressed concrete deck unit superstructure. There's one masonry abutment and also a sloped concrete abutment. And the total structure length is 35 feet with the curb to curb width of 20 feet, 3 inches. And we do have average daily traffic is about 1,050 vehicles per day. So the deck conditions, deck is rated satisfactory with a rating of 6. The bituminous overlay has areas of light raveling and some random cracking. There's also widespread dampness on the underside, as well as random spalls with and without exposed rebar, and those are deteriorating as well. So that brings us into the superstructure. Superstructure is a 6. And as I said, so it's pre-stressed deck units. And we do have some shrinkage cracking as well, and also those spalls that I mentioned with the exposed rebar. Substructure is rated a 4. And like I said, we do have 2 different types of abutments here. We have the masonry wall with areas of cracked and missing grout, and also large voids between the stones. There's also missing mortar and some severely deteriorated stones that basically fall apart when you touch them. The east abutment, or the sloped concrete, has areas of random cracks and also some spalling throughout. The channel here consists mainly of mud and silt, and there's also some heavy undercutting and erosion up and downstream, and also some pretty heavy vegetation growth. All right, so the proposed replacement here is concrete box beams, and this would consist of a single 50-foot clear span on reinforced concrete abutments on piles. We'll have an open metal bridge rail as well, and you can see here we have an elevation view, which basically shows the bridge as if you're standing in the water looking at the bridge. The proposed structure here is shown in gray. The wing walls are in pink. The box beams are in orange, and the railing is in yellow. So here we have the cross section, which shows the bridge as if we slice through the structure while we're standing on the roadway. And we'll have a 29.5-foot out to out width and 26-foot curb to curb width with two 11-foot travel lanes and two 2-foot shoulders. We'll have membrane waterproofing and the bituminous overlay. And the bridge railing here again is shown as yellow. The wearing surface is in black, the deck is in gray, and then the box beams are here in orange. So here we have the plan view, which basically shows the entirety of the project area. We'll have new approach slabs and a guide rail that meets all safety standards. And then we also have some overhead utilities that'll be relocated during construction. The existing pavement here is shown in gray with the roadway reconstruction in yellow. Wing walls are in pink, and the proposed structure is shown in orange. Here we just have some examples of concrete box beam structures, so showing you what the bridge could look like. We are proposing a full detour for duration of construction, and it'll be about 4.2 miles or 7 to 8 minutes long, and would include Russell Ave, North Street, Halliday Ave, and Blossom Street. As I said, we do have some utilities. They'll be, permanently or temporarily relocated during construction. And then we do have a catch basin that'll be replaced in kind. The overhead here are shown in yellow, and the catch basin is just here shown in orange. Our permits here are local inland wetland, the Army Corps self-verification, and flood management certification. Rights of way here are pretty minor. We're looking at just some slope easements for the support because of the raise in the roadway profile that we do have, and possible construction easements for the contractor to complete the work. All right, and now I'll hand it off to Zacharino for some rights of way info.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Again, my name is Zacharino. I'm a project coordinator with the Department's Division of Rights of Way. So our office is responsible for acquiring the property rights that are needed for the project. And as Andy mentioned, this project will require the acquisition of property rights. So I'd like to give you a brief overview of our acquisition process. Before I begin, I'd just like to mention that specific impacts are still being finalized, and they may change as the design progresses, and that any required property rights will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statute Sections 13A73, 13A98E, as well as the Uniform Act. So the right-of-way acquisition process begins once the design has progressed to a development milestone and all the impacts have been determined. At this point, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with the property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. On the screen here is an example of a property map that an owner may receive. It's going to show the existing conditions as well as the proposed improvements. Our office will then determine the fair market value of those property rights which are depicted on the map and use it to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain how the state arrived at its offer. The property owner will be given a reasonable amount of time, typically 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter negotiations. You go back slide. So when an agreement is reached, the department will prepare all the necessary paperwork to record the deed and property map on the town land records. However, if an agreement cannot be reached, in order to keep on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights to its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court, along with a monetary deposit in the amounts of the state's original offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner. It's important to note that the state only acquires property rights that are needed for this specific project. If there are any more questions regarding the right-of-way acquisition process, I can answer them in the Q&A portion. With that, I'm going to hand it back over to Andy for the schedule. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. All right. So we are looking about a 6 to 8 month project duration, which is just one construction season. We'll start in the spring of 2027, and the estimated cost here is about 3.15 million. So with that, I think we're all set, and I think we'll hand it over to the question and answer.
Thanks, Andy, Zach, and Mark. Great presentation. It's now time for the live question and answer portion of our presentation. The question and answer section is open until August 14th of 2025. Until then, you can send us your questions by email at dot.flbp@ct.gov or by phone at 860-594-2020 and leave us a voicemail. Please reference project number 0139-0116 when leaving a voicemail. You can also send us your questions right now during the live Q&A portion using the tool at the bottom of the screen. We do have one question, but I know the Public Works Director, Lee, would like to make a comment.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. It was brought to my attention that there will be an issue with the bridge being out for that period of time for one of the farmers who abuts that area. That's for Vincent Farms. They have a 90-acre parcel of farmland right there. They will need to be able to get access to that land without making the very long trek with farm equipment for the detour area. They are requesting a 14-foot crossing over the brook during this whole entire phase of construction to be able to get their farm equipment back and forth. Is that something that would be possible?
Yeah, so I think that can be accommodated into the project. I think we'll have to, look into that a little bit more, just depending on any sort of permitting process or any, right away that we might need for that. So I think that can be accommodated, and we will definitely look into that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Lee, this is Mark Levesque from VHB. Yeah, we can look into that. I do want to say that we'll probably have to bring them around the construction area just because the bridge is so narrow now that it'd be difficult to keep them on the existing bridge. But we have done similar things in the past. Yeah, just because in that temporary crossing probably would just be for the farmer, not for other traffic, because there's a whole other there would a lot be involved if we kept it open for traffic during that time, and the construction goes much faster if we can just build the bridge in its current location and just keep a little path open for the farmer.
Understood, and I think that's what we're looking for here is to keep it open for the farmer specifically. So that would be great if you could look into that, and maybe when we meet out there for a site visit, we can kind of walk through and determine where that would work best with the farmer.
Thank you, Andy and Mark, for answering that question. We have a question from Margaret. How much wider will the bridge be versus the current bridge? Does the curve get straightened out? We're concerned that people will just drive faster when the bridge is redone.
Yeah, so basically the bridge right now is going to be widened only essentially for shoulders, more or less. So the shoulders, and to then meet also some standards. So basically, I believe it's going to be widened a little over, well, almost 6 feet, but the shoulders themselves are going to be 2 feet each. So that's 4 of that. And then the extra 2 is pretty much to bring it up to design standards. The curve, unfortunately, we can't really straighten that out. I suppose we can, look into moving the bridge a little bit, but we're a little bit tight on the right of way there, which makes it difficult in other aspects. So I don't believe that we can really straighten out that curve a huge amount without causing a whole lot more costs and, headaches in the process. I don't know, Mark, if you want to add anything else to that.
No, and this is, mostly a bridge project and, to replace a division bridge. And I think from the way I read that question, I think they're good with us not correcting that curve because that would increase speeds. I think that's the way I was reading that question.
That's kind of
Um,
how I did too.
so that wasn't our
Yeah.
plan, but yeah.
I talked to a local resident and they said that there are people who speed down this road already as it stands, and they are worried that if you widen the road and straighten the curve, you're just going to encourage the speeding more so. So yes, I believe that that's where they're getting at. So thank you.
Michelle, it looks like there was another question from Michelle Thurston.
Yes, Michelle Thurston would like to ask her question live. So I'm going to allow. Hi, Michelle. You should be unmuted now and
Yeah.
able to ask your question.
Okay, so regarding any future enhancements, repairs to the bridge, we have a lot of questions, and I don't know if this is the call that we should be asking these questions, but I think we should have some type of open forum because we do have a lot of residents living around the bridge that have a lot of concerns. And one concern that you brought up this evening is the property rights required. So that's leading me to believe that the bridge is going to be expanded over to one side or another. So can you elaborate on that?
So right now, all of um our right of way acquisitions are really only going to be some minor easements, just because we have to raise the roadway a little bit, and there's really only I think 3 properties right now that we're affecting at 3 of the corners. Let me see actually if I can go back and yeah. So if you see here, the affected properties are really what are in red. And there's really what we're anticipating is just these small little areas at these 3 properties. So there's not really a lot that we're anticipating at all for this. This is actually very minor.
Okay, so Andy, can you answer the question regarding the width of the bridge and how much wider is it going to be versus what it is today?
So right now the width is, I believe, curb to curb is 20 feet 3 inches right now, and we're proposing just 26.
Okay,
So
on what side of the road?
so that's going to be expanded on both sides of the road. So it'll be expanded evenly on both sides of the road.
Okay, my other question is why does it need to be expanded? Why can't it stay as is today?
So the bridge right now is not up to design standards. So we need to meet certain design standards for lane width, shoulder width, and things like that. And also we need to maintain the stream opening. So that all factors into how long long and wide the bridge needs to be.
Okay. And I see the red, there's 3 properties as you mentioned.
Mhm.
What properties are those? I'm looking at the numbers, 157, 169. That doesn't
Yeah,
mean,
so that's just square footage that we're anticipating to affect. I don't know off the top of my head which properties those are.
Yeah, it looks like
Um,
547 Russell Ave. And basically, yeah, on the other side of that, there's not really an address, but yeah,
I think, yeah,
Vincent Land Holdings.
I think it was Vincent Land Holdings, I think was the other.
And Rosilio or Petriano Rosilio.
yep. Mhm.
Yeah, that's the other impacted property. And just so
And the third?
that That property is both. The Vincent Farms is
Okay.
on both sides of the brook, just
Okay.
so you can more clearly see as well. The green there is the existing right of way the town already owns, and like
Yeah,
Andy's saying,
sorry,
majority
I
of
should have,
that,
yeah.
yeah, majority of the bridge and everything expanding is going to be within the area that the town already owns and controls within the green. And those red, that would be, at least in this scenario, would be an easement, a permanent easement. So the fee ownership remains with the property owner, and the state, which will be eventually transferred to the town, will have the ability to maintain that slope. So they could work within that red area. But the green is the area that the town already has access to, the right of way. And like I said, this is subject to change, so things might change, but right now that's kind of what we're proposing. So I just want to make that more clear.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. I should have explained that.
No
Thank you.
problem. No problem.
And you mentioned utilities will be placed in a different location.
Yeah, so basically let's see if we can go back to that. So utilities, overhead utilities, there we go. So the overhead utilities are in yellow here. And those will just, because they're so close to the bridge and they go over the bridge area, they'll essentially be relocated in a more convenient location so that they won't be affected by any construction, any cranes or anything that are going on. So we don't clip those things and and
Okay.
you lose power or anything like that. So
So they can be relocated, is that permanently or temporarily? Because I do
gen
have a concern with that.
generally it'll be temporarily, and then they'll be put back in the original location.
Okay, all right. Because right now I have one of those lights flashing right in my bedroom window, so so it would be nice to relocate it, but that's not a big issue. Okay, and then you mentioned also about the elevation of the bridge. Is it going to be raised?
It does have to, yeah, it does have to be raised about, I think it's about 1.5 feet to just under 2 feet, I believe. And that's because we do need to maintain that stream crossing, the width of the stream crossing. And to be able to do that, we needed to raise the profile a little bit based off of other standards and, different slopes and everything. So unfortunately, we did have to raise it a little bit.
Okay, and also what about inclement weather? That bridge can get obviously very slick during the winter months. How is the elevation of the bridge going to affect that?
So all that, I mean, so that'll be all, with the slopes and everything that should mitigate that. I know we'll have a whole process of doing, hydraulic analysis and things like that based off of different storm events, and that'll all be incorporated into the design to make sure that the bridge isn't, affected or anything.
Okay. And my last question is the aesthetics of how the bridge is going to look after, because right now they put that metal guardrail there back in 2020,
Mhm.
and that was supposed to be temporary because the existing, okay,
So these are just, yeah, so not to interrupt you at all. I was just trying to get you some examples. So this is just examples of what it could look like. And things can change, but like we said, the town will be involved in all of that decision process, and we can discuss different formworks or anything like that that might be able to be incorporated into it.
okay. And are these bridges already the bridges that were redone
Can,
in Suffield, or is this
these
something
are
that
just bridges that have examples of like box beam bridges. So essentially what we're going to be putting out there just in different towns. But yeah, in Connecticut though.
well, I have to say that Russell Avenue is very it's very farmland. It has a, a winding, beautiful look to it, and we want to keep that aesthetic. We don't want a metal bridge like right now. The metal beam that's put there currently was supposed to be temporary. The existing guardrails are the wood with the metal rope look, and
Mhm.
we kind of want to keep that country road look by adding what I'm seeing right now is really going to take away from the charm of,
Yeah, so again, this is just examples of, what it can look like, but there is option for even like a wood rail that is up to standards. Unfortunately, I know what's out there right now is not up to the design standards, so we do have to change that. But I know I'm pretty positive there is the option of, a wood rail that we can use, and that would help, I believe.
okay, right.
The
Thank you so
two
much.
cable guide rail is not a crash compliance system.
What was that, Mark? Sorry.
The two
The
cable.
two cable guide rail is not a crash compliance
Right.
system.
Yeah, so what's out there right now? Yeah.
Okay,
Well, Michelle,
thank you.
thank you for all your questions. I do want to reiterate, I'm the Michelle that you spoke with on the phone. And I'm waiting for the selectman. He's getting a list of all your neighbors who are on vacation.
Yes,
And when,
Michelle.
and,
It-
and, and
I'm
what,
sorry to interrupt you.
no, you're
Yeah,
fine.
Colin did reach out to me regarding
Yep,
that.
yep,
And as I mentioned when we spoke last week, we have a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, we have a few of our neighbors that are on vacation that won't be
yep,
back till the end of August, maybe September.
okay,
So
yep.
I really feel
Yep.
that they need to be involved. And
Absolutely. So our plan is to, once we have a date, knowing when everybody is kind of going to be back, we're going to coordinate a field meeting so we can get together and kind of more in detail discuss your concerns and answer all of your questions more in depth, because I'm sure you'll have more questions, of course, and everybody will have the opportunity to kind of watch this presentation and obviously the question and answer the the question period is open until August 14th, but anybody who we'll be meeting with will be still have the opportunity to ask questions, because we'll plan to schedule a time to meet with you guys in the field. Anybody who couldn't attend tonight, the affected residents, we'll meet with them in the field as well.
yeah, we have Dr. Russolillo on the line as well too, and he'd like to ask some questions if he could open his line.
Dr. Russolo, is he calling in from a
Gary,
phone? Oh,
y-
nope.
um,
I only see a phone number. I don't see a Gary.
okay, so his phone number is, let me give that to you,
Yeah, I see.
860-490-2777.
No. Is he signed on under somebody else's name?
Uh, I don't believe so. Should be under Russolillo. Gary,
I think
Yeah,
Michelle, I think it says one phone call in listener. I don't know.
yeah, that wasn't the phone number though.
Yeah, no.
it might be him, it could be his home number. So can you open that up, please?
I just want to confirm that it's the right one. If he's on with his computer, he can send a message in the chat and I
He's
can open
not.
it up. Oh, okay, so
He's
he is
not,
on his
Michelle.
phone.
He's,
He
yeah,
called in.
he dialed
Okay,
in.
absolutely. So I will open it up. But thank you so much for your questions. I'm gonna, in order to switch you out, I'm gonna have to mute you now to let him in.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, I
Hello.
think, hi, Gary. You should be able to talk
Hi.
now.
Okay. Who am I speaking?
This is Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Excuse me. Hi, Michelle.
How are you?
Question, let's see. So the bridge is intended to be wider, as you described, and you need a 2-foot, okay, what do you call it, curbing on either side?
Well, we're
Is that what
adding
you're saying?
yeah, so this is Andy Shepard from VHB. We're adding 2-foot shoulders to the bridge, and that's just because of design standards. And that's for the pedestrians or bikes or anything like that to be able to walk over safely. Right now, there basically is no shoulder to the bridge.
everybody just goes over the bridge, whether they got electric bike or pedal bike, because otherwise you're just going to come back onto the road on either side, right? Okay. So and I will only echo what another lady, I believe Margaret said before, that we heard initially that you're going to straighten out the curve. Straighten the curve, it's going to make it worse for everybody, because then it just allows everybody to go down there like a drag strip, more so than they do now. So the curve is somewhat of a deterrent. Down, you have to slow down to go either down Russell Ave or if you're going back up again. So I think straightening out the road there is not effective in the sense that initially they were saying to prevent accidents. Well, I haven't seen an accident there in 30 years that we've been here. And so that is a deterrent. I think that's a in-place deterrent that works well. If you straighten it, that's just going to make it easier for people to step on the pedal. The other thing is, I don't quite understand, is the bridge going roughly near the same footprint that it is now?
So yes, so to answer your first question, the curve, we're not straightening the curve.
Okay.
I know, so it's not really feasible for us to do that with this sort of project. This is really just addressing the bridge itself, not the roadway. So
Okay.
that's, yeah, so we're not straightening the curve. And then, so, sorry, what was what was your second part?
The footprint of the proposed bridge is going
Oh,
to be.
yes, yes. So the footprint is definitely staying the same. We're, basically just essentially widening on either side the same and then lengthening on either side the same.
Okay. Now you talk about the properties. How much property you're proposing taking near the bridge?
So I believe it's just a couple hundred square feet for, I believe on your property, I mean, go back to the slide.
I just heard about this, so I think the due process was a little mistaken, and we didn't get notified, and nobody did. But
So this is, so yeah, so this is, good.
This is just public info
Sorry.
right now. This was advertised in 2 newspapers and I believe letters were sent to the butters. Once we start requesting property maps is when the Office of Rights Way will go out and contact. They're still very early in the design. We're still at 30% design right now. So we wouldn't reach out to property owners because we really don't have a general idea. We wouldn't go out to make property maps and make offers for property we may or may not need.
Right, yeah. So this is just basically our anticipated, what we think is going to be happening. So it's not
Sorry,
anything solid.
I appreciate that. I have no concern about that. Only that one hears it, and I had no notification because I only heard it today when Michelle told me. So as you're going down Russell Avenue, you're approaching the bridge, right?
Yes.
And then there's a corner. So obviously our land is to the right, and Vincent's land is to the left. So how much land do you anticipate taking in that section going down on the right-hand side, which is ours, coming down Russell Avenue?
I believe right now we're only anticipating about 150 square feet.
Well, I'm not so good at that myself, but how does 150 square feet come out?
And can I just jump in? This is Mark from VHB. It's really because we're raising the road a little bit, and it's just slope. At this point, it seems to be like a slope easement, not an actual take. So it's just going to be a little more fill on your property. At this point, we don't know, as this is like Mark had said before, this is early in the design, but at this point, from what we have laid out, it's really just, because the road is going to be raised up a little bit, we just have to, bring the slopes down so we don't have to put a retaining, other retaining wall or anything like that. And it's just, you probably won't even know it in the future after it's all done for a few years and everything's grown back in. And, I think.
So I see. So essentially, you're just taking the slope, the topographical area to slope down off the bridge to blend it into the surrounding land that's already there.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. And again, when Michelle talked about aesthetics, that and anybody that knows about Russell Avenue, we all talk about that, and some things that are not aesthetically pleasing. And I think Michelle brought that up when I got tuned in here. Wood railings or something. It's a country town, a country road in a sense, even though you're transporting 1,000 cars coming out of Massachusetts around there. Still country. We still got tractors going up and down there, right? But I think aesthetics is important. for the town, not for only for us that lives there, but for the town. Because as you go down through and people drive through, something's for sale. Gee, maybe we'd like to buy a house or whatever it is. It gives you a nice feeling when you come down. And this bridge is almost almost hidden in the bushes, whatever. So if something else new comes up when it's all new, shiny steel, all right, guardrail, whatever, that kind of takes away from what's in that environment as you're going down through. I think that was another concern that Michelle brought up in that sense. All right. So is there a way to see? I didn't get on. I couldn't get on tonight. Michelle gave me that quick, and I couldn't get on the computer. So is there something else online where you talk about the red and the green, topographically, what's mapped out that you can see? Is that someplace online that you can go look at that?
I believe the presentation is
Um,
available at the town,
Yeah,
right?
because he called in, so he's only able to hear the audio, so he wasn't able
Yeah.
to see any of the graphics.
Yeah,
So
so
we can get a copy of the presentation to you, and it's also going to be available on YouTube tomorrow.
And the project webpage.
Yeah,
right.
On the where?
the project webpage.
Which web page is that, please?
So
Go to the Andy was the it's DOT.
yeah, I'll go back to it.
Okay. All right. So I think you've answered the concerns. One is straightening the road so it doesn't become a speedway. Secondly, the aesthetics of the area, because it's a nice country road in town. Everybody likes that. Every comments about you with a nice area in town, because Suffield's a wonderful town anyways. And then the land, if it's sloping off into there, we understand that. So all of that will allay a lot of fears that some of the residents have expressed when they heard that the bridge was being put into 5-lane wide and double-decker going across like the George Washington Bridge. But they'll be glad to hear that that the change is not that drastic in a sense.
Correct.
I appreciate
Yes.
the opportunity to speak. Appreciate you answering my questions. It's been very nice. I thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you for
Yeah.
asking.
One other thing to
Thank you
touch on
so much.
too, for aesthetics,
What?
we can do metallizing, so it won't be galvanized. We can do a pigmented paint that acts similar to galvanizing, but we can paint it instead to give it a more aesthetically pleasing look. So it's not just bright silver.
Right. And like I said before, also for that, for aesthetics and everything, the town will of course be involved in all those decisions. So we'll definitely have, everyone involved that needs to be involved to make sure that it doesn't mess up the farmland that you have there.
Mhm.
The
I think
painted,
that's important. I think that's important. So everybody's on board with it. You're being kind to talk to everybody now. That's important. So everybody's got an idea what's going on. They don't feel like they're left out, but that you have a concern. And I think that's what makes people feel better too. So good. I appreciate that very much. I look forward to the next meeting. You said something about questions by August 14th.
Yes.
Yes,
So go ahead,
go
Mike.
ahead.
No, go ahead, Michelle.
Where is that?
So
Where does one submit that?
so the comment period is open through August 14th. And we have you can email us at dot-flbp@ct.gov, or you can send us a voicemail at 860-594-2020 and reference the project number 0139-0116. Or
And what was the
obviously
DOT site, please, Michelle?
the website.
Yes.
So it's a pretty long link, but I did post it in the I did post it in the chat, so I don't know if it'd be easier to have Michelle send it to you through a text, if that
Okay.
would be easier. I posted it in the
Okay.
chat for everybody again, so maybe she can text it to you so that way you just have it right on your phone.
Okay, Michelle. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, perfect. Michelle
And
said
then
she would share it with you.
Okay.
a good
Thank you very
in-town
much.
bridge. Oh yeah, sure.
Pardon?
If
Hello?
you're looking for a bridge that has similar aesthetics that we did recently, Remington Street. At the intersection of Remington Street and I believe it's Prospect Street, we did that bridge a few years ago in this program. And that had a colored rail system, so you could get an idea of some of the aesthetic treatments that are available.
The
Okay, I know
painted
somebody
rails and the
mentioned-
form liner look nice together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Oh, can you go fishing off the bridge like when we were kids, do you think? Okay, well,
Can't
obviously,
stop
I'm
you.
into aesthetics. I'm into aesthetics because I'm a plastic surgeon, so
Oh,
that's what my goal is every day. Thanks
Yeah, it
again.
was-
I appreciate it.
Thank
Take
you very
care.
much.
Have a good rest of the evening.
You as
You too.
well.
Okay. Thank you for
Gary,
taking my call.
thanks for your questions. Take care.
Yes.
So as of right now, we have no other questions waiting. I'll give it a few more minutes. But like I said, again, you can email your questions at dot-flbp@ct.gov or by phone at 860-594-2020. And please reference the project number 0139-0116 when you leave your voicemail. And again, we'll stay here for a minute or two longer for anybody else who has a question. And I did pop the project webpage into the chat, and you'll be able to access the reading of tonight's minutes and a link to tonight's YouTube video. Any information that we're posting about the project will be on that webpage as well. Michelle said, thank you to everyone. We really appreciate this time to discuss their concerns. No problem. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us and for your questions. Okay, seeing no other questions, we'll wrap this up. I hope everybody has a great evening and enjoys the rest of their summer. Stay cool and have a great night. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.